Hey guys, what's up? So today we have the AYANEO Air Plus. This is the first Windows handheld I've ever owned, so I'm very excited about this video. We'll go through a quick unboxing of the product so you can see what you get in the box and how it arrives to you, and then I will take you through my first impressions of the hardware and also give a little flavor of what this console can do. So stick around and we'll get onto it, the unboxing. Okay, so here it is. So the box is actually a little bit thinner than I thought it would be, and they packed a lot in here, and they've got sort of two compartments. There's real gamers, no gamers at the top, and then the cables and all of the power adapters on the bottom here. So you can see here we have a couple of cool things. I'll just get this out of the way, and you have the USB-C cable in the top right. Some international power adapters, the power brick, two USB ports, USB-C to USB-A converters, and then another plug at the bottom. So at the top we have here the manual, which is a lot of literature, and then in this little compartment here we will have the console itself. So it has this AYANEO sticker on it, screen protector thing. So we'll just take this out of the box and then show you the console itself. Okay, so let's talk about the hardware itself on the AYANEO Air Plus. The console is really well made, I think. The build quality is second to none. My particular unit has a little bit of creaking on the left side, so when I sort of twist the casing a bit on the left side, I do hear some squeaks, but the right side is quite solid, so maybe the plastic clips are not attached properly on the left, but very minor. And then the other parts of the console, I mean, came to me basically flawless. There was no issues with build quality apart from that. I haven't tried to open it up or anything or change the SSD, so I can't comment on what's inside, but from what I can see, everything was fine when the unit arrived to me. Now let's talk about each of the different parts of the console. Now the foam sticks are sort of switch sized, so they're not that big, and I do wish they put a slightly larger foam stick on this because it looks like there is a little bit of room, because it's it's more of a console experience, like a PC and console gaming on here. We're not going to play like mobile games, but and I do wish that we had full size foam sticks on here, but we can't really do much about that. I think it's still good, and they are Hall sensing sticks, so that's a plus. The D-pad I should talk about. Now I think this D-pad is the best one I've ever used. So in terms of accuracy and the travel distance, the feedback that you get from this D-pad doing diagonals, everything is perfect about this D-pad. The shape, I prefer the older style D-pads, so like a Nintendo style, rather than like a PS Vita, more clicky one. And this one is definitely the best D-pad I've ever used on a handheld. And I think maybe it could have been a little bit bigger, I guess. Again, same comment with the analog sticks, but I do think that the accuracy of this D-pad and the feeling of it is fantastic. The buttons here, the first buttons, A, B, X, Y, they're okay. I think they're a little bit small. They could have been a tiny bit bigger. But apart from that, I think they are also very accurate. And it's because they're smaller, you can actually press two of them quite easily. And I think with maybe bigger D-pads, bigger buttons, it might be a little bit harder, but I think it's okay. Like, it could have been a bit bigger, but not too bad. It's not a deal breaker for me. Now these sort of shortcut buttons here, down here, and the start and select button, these actually do feel a little bit cheap. Now the select and start is here, and the shortcut buttons, the AYANEO space button and the show desktop button here, I wish that they were flipped actually, because I prefer start and select on this side, but that's also not a big deal. But the sort of the cheapness of the buttons, when you press them, they feel a bit Yeah, they do feel a bit cheap. Not like the buttons moving around slightly, and I think they should have made these a bit more clickier, and they would have been maybe a little bit better. But again, it's not a deal breaker, and they are out of the way. You don't accidentally press them, so I think that's the main thing. You don't want to accidentally press, the airspace button or start and select. So I think that's okay. So one other thing to mention is the color of the console. Now they call this Glacier Blue, and I'm actually thinking I wish they made it white, like pure white. But now that I've got the unit in my hand, Glacier Blue, it's not too bad actually. It's kind of a very light blue tone. It's incredibly light. So you do see that blueness maybe in the video a bit more. Maybe it's a bit more saturated, but in real life it's more like you're looking at like a bottle of mineral water or something, like a very light bottle of mineral water. Maybe that's something you can compare it to. Also, I talk about the weight of the console. Now it's a little bit heavier than I thought it would be, so it's 510 grams, and I think that's about the limit for me actually. So because I've never owned a Windows console before, I would not go heavier than this. I think anything heavier needs to be bigger, and this is basically I think the limit for me in terms of the size of a console and the weight. So this is a 6-inch screen, 510G. I think that's the limit for me because personally, I think the Steam Deck is a little bit too big, and this is why I actually purchased this particular one. Okay, so let's look at the other parts of the console. I'll just turn it around quickly. So let's look at the back. Now, there's nothing much on the back really. You see there's just a grill here for the fan, and then you can see the micro SD slot here as well. So the micro SD slot, I did feel it was a little bit weird to take out because the way that I would attach it back in, so it comes out like this, like a hinge, and then here's your micro SD card. To put it back on though, what I'm doing is I'm pushing this bottom part first, and then pushing this one like here to sort of clip it in. I'm not sure if that's the way you meant to do it, but that's how it is here. Okay, so I'll show you the top quickly. Let's just get the focus in. Okay, so the top here, right? So the buttons are the same on the left and right, obviously. So let's go from left to right. The triggers are the tension on the triggers I think is a little bit too heavy. So it's okay. It's usable, and they're very smooth. They're incredibly smooth, and they are full analog. However, I think they could have just maybe made them a little bit looser. Maybe the spring needs wearing in a bit, but that would be my comment about that particular button. LB button is fantastic. I really like this style. I don't like the the more recent Xbox 360, Xbox One especially, Xbox Series X. I do not like the bumper buttons on these controllers. I prefer more of a PlayStation style bumper, and this one is very much like that. So you can press it on the top here, you can press it down here, and it will activate wherever you press it. So I really do like this bumper button compared to most consoles or controllers. I think it could have been maybe a little bit thicker, but I'm still okay with it. It's not a deal breaker for me. Easy to activate anywhere if you're pressing it anywhere, and good feedback on that one. Now here you have a shortcut button. It has like 3 dots. I'm not sure if you can see it there, but there's like 3 little dots there, and this is actually I thought this was like a touch sensitive, like a conductive area which you just put your finger across, but it's actually a button, and I do like that. So these buttons are used for the keyboard, and then there's another button here for I think it's task manager, and you can have 2 different actions. You can have a press action, and then you can have a hold action. So these are quite useful because on a Windows console you need more buttons to do things like alt tabbing or show desktop and all sorts of other functions. So it's useful to have these extra buttons, and I think this is a really good spot to put them because because the face is going to be full basically. Okay, so talking about the fingerprint sensor, the power button. So I really like the idea. I love the idea of just being able to just put your finger across that and unlocking the console. But unfortunately, I think it's not very reliable. So it only works maybe 40% of the time. I'm not sure if that's because of my finger or what, or the quality of the sensor is not good enough. But I find that when I'm putting my finger across the power button, it's only going to sense it's only going to do the unlocking, the Windows Hello unlocking, maybe like 4 times out of 10, just a bit rubbish actually. So apart from that, it's just a clickable button, and it does feel it feels okay, but I do wish it was a little bit more sturdier, because it's going to be a button that you're going to be using a lot here. The volume buttons they're a little bit small, but I think and they also carry over with that sort of cheap feeling, the same as these buttons down here. But it's okay. They're passable. They're the volume up and down. So you've got down here and up there. It's okay. So it's not too bad. Next up, we have a USB-C port here, and it's really cool that they have a USB-C port at the bottom as well. But I'll talk about that in a moment. And then the heatsink is here. Now, a few reviewers have said that this console gets too hot to handle, like even the back here, or they're touching the grip, and some reviewers are saying it's too hot and it becomes uncomfortable. For me, it's fine. I can play a game at full power and like a quite an intensive game, and it'll be okay. So for me, I've not had any issues with that, with my hand getting hot or something. It does get warmer than other consoles, definitely, but it's not again, it's not a deal breaker for me. Obviously, you want the console to stay cool, but I think also again, this is about the limit I would take. I think if it got any hotter and it was like burning out or something, then yeah, definitely it would be not a good product. But I think as it is, it's kind of on the border of being okay. And then finally, we have the same set of buttons here. So we have a hotkey button, an RB, and RT. So again, I've had no build quality problems with these. They have the same tension on left and right. It's the same reliability on the button. I can put on the bumper button. I can press it anywhere and it will activate. I'm really happy with that. I really do like that aspect of the hardware. Okay, so let's just flip over to the bottom here. Now, I just quickly showed you that micro SD card slot earlier, but then we have the two speakers left and right, and then we have two screw holes here, and then another USB-C port here, so we have a total of 2 on the console, and then the headphone jack here. So I'll talk about the speakers first. So I've had sort of mixed feelings about these speakers, because on some of the games they sound really, really good, and they sound the stereo separation is good, and the bass and treble all sound pretty good for something that this size. But then there's some other games which I tried which sound a bit muffled actually. I'm not sure if that's because I'm trying some emulated games, some older games, and the sound quality in those games is not good, but it's okay. I think they're good speakers, above average, and maybe there's some software or something that we can use to just maybe improve this or tune it a bit to make the equalize them a bit, to make the sound come out a little bit better. The 3.5mm jack, however, so also on the subject of sound, is a little bit noisy actually. So I plug my headphones in here, and you can hear some slight, I don't know if it's Wi-Fi interference or electrical interference. It's not the cleanest plug ever. It's not as bad as Ambernic consoles that I've used in the past, but it's also not it's not on the level of like a Retroid. I think that Retroid get their 3.5mm jacks very they make sure that the signal is clean when you plug in, whereas Ambernic is one of the worst actually for this. But I say AYANEO would be this particular one. It's about in between that. So you do hear some noise, but it doesn't become distractingly bad like it does on an Ambernic console. So it's just, I think, usable. I say usable to okay to average. But yeah, it does have a little bit of that noise. So if you're sensitive to that, that's going to be an issue. And what you could do to mitigate that is to use a USB-C adapter with a headphone jack, and then just plug in through there. Because if you do that, the signal is going to be clean. So again, yeah, Microsoft SD card just comes out like that. I've just put a 512 gigabyte card in there. So yeah, it's a bit strange how what you should do to get it back on is you plug it on the top first here, and then push down, and then it will click in. So I'm not sure why they made it that way, or if it's a problem, but I think it's fine. Okay, and then finally, let me just talk about the grip a little bit more. So with the grip, I think it's to me it's deep enough. It's okay. I'm not gonna. I can hold it one handed for example, and it's not gonna fly out of my hands. And when I'm holding it with two hands, it's obviously very secure. It's not as good as the Steam Deck's grip, but I think there's not many consoles that are going to be really grippable, as it were, like because this for this size, I think it's good. But the Steam Deck, it's bigger. It's a bigger chunk, so you can really get your hands in there. But with this one, they've got a bit less space to work with, so the grip's not going to be as good. Still okay, still fine. I can hold it with one hand. It's not gonna, when I'm gaming, it's not gonna fly out. I played some fighting games, and I was doing some combos. It was okay. So it's it's good. I'd say good to average to good, above average, definitely. Okay, so one more thing let's talk about with this console, the screen. Now, as you can see, I have Hades running right now, and Hades looks amazing. Well, to be honest, everything I've tried on this screen looks amazing. I've not had any issues with like refresh rate being blurring. The just the fact that it's 1080p is really glorious. Like it's an amazing screen for this size, and the detail in the detail is perfect. The sharpness is perfect. The colors are perfect. I really can't say much more about this screen. This screen is amazing for for the technology that they're using. So I think it's an IPS screen. Obviously, you can go better with OLED, and OLED's got its own issues. But for an IPS screen, 6-inch, 1080p, 60 hertz, this is a fantastic screen. They've really they've got the right part, and they've stuck it in here, and it's just, and anything you show on the screen is going to look absolutely amazing. You do have some issues with the 1080p on Windows on this size, which is going to, you have to work around those. But when you're actually gaming and you're playing, be it a PS2 game or you're playing a PC game at full resolution, it's going to look amazing. Now, I'll talk a bit about those workarounds. So if the console hardware is not good enough to go to 1080p, you're going to have to go down to 720p. 720p still looks good on this with the scaling, so I'm actually reasonably impressed with that as well. I thought it would look much worse, but 720p or in a low resolution scale actually looks okay on the screen, and it scales well. The fact that it's only 60 hertz, I mean, there's only one other console out there with a higher refresh rate, which is the ASUS ROG Ally with a 120 hertz screen. Now, you can't really beat that. So I mean, in this package, I think that this is very good. And the ROG Ally is, you're spending way more money I think to get that kind of screen. So yeah, you're gonna get you're obviously gonna get something better with ASUS. There was some talk about the screen getting hot and causing issues on the ASUS, but this one at full brightness is okay. I've not had any problems with it. You do have to deal with Windows on the handheld, which is because we have a 1080p screen in a 6-inch size, things are going to be really small. You have to play around with the font sizes a bit to work around that. But that's just something that comes with Windows handheld, I'm afraid. So you can't really do much about that. But as I said, when you're in game, you're playing you're playing whatever you're playing, it looks absolutely amazing. And yeah, I can't say any more than that. It's just a fantastic screen. So that concludes my hardware impressions of the AYANEO Air Plus. Now, this particular product is quite confusing, I'd say, because AYANEO, they have the Air Pro, and the Air Plus. And I really don't like that they've split the line of products so much, because I feel like they could have just cut down the confusion about which one you're going to buy. The Air Pro and the Air Plus all have a different shell and all have their own different colors. And then within each product line, they have several different specifications as well. This particular one, the Air Plus, I think the hardware on all of the Air Pluses, if it's the same as this, and it is, the terms of the shell size and the battery and the controls, the screen, all of the Air Pluses share that in common. And this area of the hardware is really top notch. I cannot fault AYANEO at all in terms of the choice of display that they're using. The controls are very good, and the decision to put the hotkeys where they are, really good, really fantastic. And when you get this product in your hands, it's like, wow, I've got a handheld PC in this size. What is the problem is the price and the specifications. Now, I've bought the i3 Intel version. It's one of the budget options, and they have a AMD budget version as well, and then an AMD several expensive versions. They have a higher end CPU and a higher end GPU as well. So the only things that are sort of changing within the Air Plus range is the CPU, the memory that you choose, and the size of the SSD. Now the memory and the CPU are going to be a bit more important. With the SSD, you can always upgrade that with a micro SD, or if you're feeling brave, you can open up the console and change the SSD yourself. So yeah, for me, AYANEO have messed up a little bit in terms of the positioning of this product, positioning of the specifications. Just the whole way that it's been released, I think, is a bit of a mess. And I will talk about that a bit more in my next video, which will be should you buy this console. So stay tuned for that one, and I hope you enjoyed this video, just talking about the hardware. And I have to say that the screen is fantastic, so I have to say that again. But yeah, let's I hope you can tune into the next video, and I'll give you more of my thoughts about this particular product. But for now, have a good day, and I'll see you next time.